Animals, like people, get frightened when a disaster strikes. They might run away in panic. Pets should wear an identification tag.
Thanks.
Ma'am, is this your dog?
Yes,
I need to see some proof of identification.
the ID is in the house.
Okay.
And I've got this picture on the camera.
Well, we do need to go up and look at the ID in the house.
Okay, come on, Max.
Owners should have papers and photos as proof of purchase. As a pet owner, are you ready? A message from the Takoma Park Emergency Preparedness Committee.
Access television, no commercials, sit and listen. People just like you and me, voices of community, freedom to communicate only on cable. This is great, our nation's First Amendment TV. Cats, kids, history, environmental manatees, beaches, parks, and scenery. Turn us on, you might see me. Controversy, politics, spiritual and skating tricks. Our nation's First Amendment TV.
Hi, I'm Regina Reese.
And I'm McKeely Brown.
And welcome to We Are Takoma, here to inform you on city services and resources.
Today's guest is Mr. Moses Wilds. He is the landlord-tenant mediation specialist for housing and community development. He's been working for about 10 years now to educate and protect Takoma Park's renters under the landlord-tenant laws. Mr. Wilds, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me this morning.
So just to begin, I want to get a better understanding of what your position is. So how exactly do you mediate between the landlords and the tenants?
Well, what we try and do is to inform both landlords and tenants of the city's landlord-tenant law. That law is only applicable to city residents.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, could you touch bases as far as what is the landlord-tenant law?
Well, I brought a copy with me. It's in Code Section 6.16 of the City Code, and it covers about 21 pages. And it basically outlines what tenants' rights are, as well as what landlord rights and basic responsibilities are.
When it comes to tenants' rights, or to be more specific, when it comes to tenants' complaints, how do tenants go about complaining?
Well, generally, they'll either come to the office or they will call me on the phone. Most of the initial complaints are over the telephone.
I know that a lot of the resources are online. Why is the complaint form not online?
Well, primarily because we want to have the opportunity to speak to the tenants, get a general feel for what their issue is, and also before we send out the culture complaint form, there's a cover letter that goes with the culture complaint form. So we want to have a general idea as to what the issue is. And it may not be necessary to actually send out the actual culture complaint form.
So you kind of want to have like a pre-screening before
Correct.
it actually goes through
Correct.
and everything. Okay. Okay.
Is there a most common complaint?
There is. The most common, during my 9.5 years, almost 10 years, the most common complaint is security deposit refunds. Basically, that means that when a tenant moves in, they pay what is called a security deposit. That money earns, by state law, 3% simple interest annually. Actually, it earns 1.5% every 6 months. So 45 days after the tenant vacates, that means that the tenant has turned in their keys and no longer has access to their rental unit. The landlord is to get that money back to them plus the interest. Or, if there are damages claimed by the landlord, send them a letter with a listing of those damages. The landlord must also correct any damages within 45 days after the tenant vacates.
Is it a situation where the tenants are complaining that they're not getting any money at all, or they're just not seeing the interest?
Well, it's sometimes both. Usually what happens is that the landlord fails to get any of their money back to them, or they may send a portion back. And they will call us, talk it over with us. I'll mail out the culture complaint form with the cover letter detailing what they must send with their culture complaint form, like copies of their lease, pictures. We strongly advise tenants to always take pictures prior to their moving out.
So you want actual physical proof. You don't want anything word of mouth. You want everything
Correct.
in writing.
Correct.
Okay. Hardcore evidence.
Hardcore evidence, correct.
Okay. And in the case that a conflict cannot be resolved, what then happens?
Well, we have been we have an 80 to 85% rate of basic success in mediating claims out. If we cannot mediate the claim then goes to COLTA. COLTA is the acronym for Commission on Landlord-Tenant Affairs. It is made up of citizens who volunteer their time. They're either landlords, owners, or tenants. And if, as I said before, if we can't mediate it out, it goes before COLTA. COLTA sits in panels of 3 members, and the COLTA executive director is a member of the Maryland Bar. Hearings are held here on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. as scheduled.
How does one become a member? If I become a renter, do I automatically become a member of COLTA? Or if I
No,
become
it's
a
not. Well, no. There's a process. You have to submit paperwork to the city. It's a fairly simple process. There's a form that the city clerk sends out to any interested parties. We currently have 11 members when a full composition is actually 12.
As far as your office goes, what services do you provide to landlords and tenants?
Well, we think we offer a number of services to both groups. Our office is called the Office of Landlord-Tenant Affairs. We offer a sample lease, which basically mirrors the city law, which we strongly advocate that landlords use, because as I said, it does mirror the city's law. We also offer a landlord-tenant handbook, in which we give further guidance to both landlords and tenants. I happen to have a copy of the handbook with me just so you can, it looks like that.
Okay.
And we also have a COLTA hearing brochure, which basically describes the COLTA hearing process.
And you have monthly, you have a landlord certification training and tenant rights seminar?
Okay, thank you for mentioning that. Monthly, we do meet with landlords who come in for their rental license. Every rental property must be licensed in the city, and we have a section of the program of the monthly landlord certification training, whereby we go over both the landlord-tenant laws as well as COLTA. We also have periodic tenant rights seminars, whereby we talk to the tenants regarding the city's landlord-tenant law. We also do a monthly column in the city newspaper called Housing Mailbox, in which we answer landlord-tenant questions. And we are there by phone, and we get calls every day from landlords and tenants in which they are asking us questions regarding the city's laws.
And just curious, with the seminars for the landlords, the certification, and also for the renters, are those free seminars?
They are both free. Of course, the landlords have to pay a fee to get their rental license, but the actual seminar is actually free.
Are there any basic requirements to be certified? Is there any, do you have to be, is there like an age requirement?
No.
Nothing like that?
No,
Okay.
nothing like that.
Okay.
And the city licensing office can certainly answer any questions that persons might have regarding what it takes to get a rental license.
Are there translative services for non-native English speakers?
We have a number of persons on staff who speak Spanish fluently as well as other non-English languages. The landlord-tenant office has a manager who's very fluent in Spanish.
So you would still encourage those persons who may feel a little hesitancy or anxiety because they're not naturally English speakers
Exactly.
to still
call
still
us.
call.
We can certainly greet them in Spanish and say a few Spanish words to them. Many of our documents are in both English and Spanish. The landlord-tenant handbook that I referenced earlier comes in both English and Spanish. The Code to Hearing Guide is also in English and Spanish.
I understand that there are some emergency assistance programs in the city.
There is one primary program which is called the Emergency Assistance Program.
Mm-hmm.
Funding for that program comes from voluntary donations from citizens as well as money that is allocated by the City Council. The program is really administered by a group called MUST, M-U-S-S-T, which is the acronym for Ministries United Silver Spring, Takoma Park. And they primarily help citizens with issues involving rent, with their with their prescription drugs, and with their utility payments.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add that we probably hadn't covered?
Well, I'd just like to say that we'd like to certainly encourage landlords and tenants to call us or to contact me to contact us by email. We get, as I said before, a number of calls daily, and we think that we can certainly explain the city's laws to them. And once again, I want to strongly indicate that this law is our laws are only applicable to persons living, renters and landlords living within the city limits.
Mr. Wilds, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And stay tuned for our next guest, Ms. Jean Kerr. She is the housing specialist for Housing and Community Development.
Council will stand in session. Roll call, please.
I'm not here asking you to stop growth.
A member of my family was killed with a gun. It can happen, and it does, and it was an accident.
I implore you to vote against these fares and cutting services.
Aye passes 5-2.
A lot can happen in a day. We'll make sure you don't miss a thing.
Jeff, it's your mom.
Where are you?
The power's off. I need you.
It is important to connect with neighbors, particularly for seniors who live alone.
Mrs. Sanders, how are you?
It's dark in here.
We brought some food for you.
Oh, that's so nice.
Kurt and I were worried about you.
Befriend your neighbor before an emergency occurs. A message from the Takoma Park Emergency Preparedness Committee.
How the rent stabilization program works. Rent stabilization gets together that landlord can charge occupied or vacant.
We don't care if your graphics aren't flashy, or if your audio doesn't sound perfect, or if you're not the world's greatest camera person. We just want to see what you want us to see, and to know what you would like us to know. Your local public access television station has tools and resources to make this possible, so that we can see what you see. It's the freedom to communicate, and it's only on cable.
I'm pleased to welcome our next guest today. She is the housing specialist for the Landlord-Tenant Office. For over 20 years, she has overseen the rent stabilization program. Ms. Kerr, thank you so much for being here today with us on this very important topic. How are you?
I'm fine, and thank you for having me today.
Well, first, start off and just tell us, what do you do as a housing specialist?
Well, I manage the overall rent stabilization program, including the rent report process, also establish the annual allowance that a landlord may charge on a yearly basis, and investigate illegal rent increases complaint alleged by the tenants.
What is rent stabilization?
Rent stabilization is a program where it sets the amount that a landlord can charge to a tenant or a vacant unit.
And you mentioned the annual rent stabilization report. Could you explain what is that?
It's a form that landlords are required to submit on a yearly basis, and it reports the rents that they're charging to the tenants. Okay. And it's also used to monitor the rent stabilization program.
And what properties are subject to rent stabilization?
Multi-family rental properties with 2 or more units and individual condominium units.
And the requirements as far as the properties go?
The requirements are the landlords have to submit yearly rent report, and also before they can take increases on tenants, they have to give them a 2-month notice, and they can only take 1 increase per year.
How can landlords submit reports?
They're required to submit them online.
Okay. And what happens if the report is actually not filed?
A municipal citation is issued and it's pursued in the district court.
Is that citation, is that $500 or?
It's a $500 fine, and once it goes to court, it doubles.
When it comes to the tenant opportunity purchase law, what is that law?
Well, it's a law that allows a tenant to match a third-party contract when the property is up for sale, and it gives the tenant the first right.
In the city, I understand that there are some affordable housing programs available.
Yes. The way how it works is the city partnership with nonprofits such as the Montgomery Housing Partnership, Victory Housing, to purchase rental properties that are up for sale and to rent to low and moderate income tenants.
As far as the services that you provide, being a house specialist, what are those? I understand there's a monthly, kind of the same way as Mr. Wilds. You guys run like a monthly seminar?
Yeah, there's a, in order for a landlord to be licensed to rent in Takoma Park, they must attend this monthly certification, landlord certification class that we have. And it's also offered where they can take it on paper. They can take a test if they choose not to come to the class. And we also offer quarterly a tenant rights class that Mr. Wiles and I have.
So if I have like a very busy schedule and I'm not able to make it to the seminar, I can just take the test online, or do I have to come in for a paper test?
We can send the paper test to you and you can take it online. But the class is also offered every other month, 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So the certification, the landlord certification, is open to everyone. Say, if I wanted to become a landlord?
Yes.
Yes.
And real estate agent as well, if they want to learn more about Takoma Park law.
And I understand that you were saying previously about as far as like getting a credit check. Do you feel like that's in the landlord's best interest to get a credit check on the tenants?
Yes, we do advise the landlords to do a credit check so they can get information on how their tenants pay rent, and what shows up if the tenant has a judgment from a previous landlord, that shows up on the credit report. And we partnership with Montgomery County to do that. And it's $11 for each applicant. And it's usually a 24 to 48 hour turnaround.
Okay. Is that a requirement or is it optional?
It's not a requirement, it's optional.
Recently I was looking in the Takoma Park newsletter and there was an article on Mission Surf. Could you tell us a little bit about Mission Surf?
Yes, this is something that the city recently started where we offer to homeowners who are on a set income to do repair through a volunteer group. We're building together and the mission serve.
And in the article, it also made mention to senior citizens.
Yeah.
How big of a help has this Mission Serve program been to senior citizens?
Well, this is the first time, so we will see after it's done.
Okay.
As far as me, if I wanted to receive financial assistance, or for the viewers out there that want to receive financial assistance, I heard there's a MUST program.
Yes, it is. We refer citizens, tenants who can't afford to buy their prescription or their utilities about to cut off, and we send them to this nonprofit. It's located in Silver Spring, and they usually help.
Is there anything else that you would like the residents to know?
Well, just to let tenants or landlord, we're here to help. So if you have any questions regarding the landlord-tenant or the rent stabilization law, they can contact me on the rent stabilization law, Jean Kerr, at 301-891-7216, or email me at jeank@tacomagov.org. And on the landlord-tenant law, they can contact Moses Wild.
Maybe you've said this before, but if I don't know if my house falls under rent stabilization, the law, how could I find that out?
Well, you can contact me and I will let you know.
Well, Ms. Kerr, thank you very, very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And if you'd like to contact Ms. Kerr, she gave her information just a little while ago, but I'm going to give it again. You can reach her at jeank@tacomagov.org, or you can call her at 301-891-7216.
For We Are Tacoma, I'm Regina Reese.
And I'm Akili Brown.
And thanks for watching.